All right, thank you for joining us. We are here in a beautiful neighborhood of, I'll just leave it blank, but this is a fantastic setting. This is actually where I believe San Diego MLS is taking its form. And what better person to be here with us than the CEO of San Diego FC, San Diego MLS, Mr. Tom Penn. Thank you for joining us here. Thank you for welcoming us here. I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Great to see you guys.
No, absolutely. And I mean, we've been seeing you across the social media as far as, being the face, one of the first people onboarded for this project, and people knew who you were. In the landscape of soccer, when they heard Tom Penn, they were excited because this brings legitimacy to a project in San Diego. But we really a little bit want to touch on, who Tom Penn is, and then just get people familiarized with that because that's what San Diegans like. And as far as San Diego, how are you experiencing it so far, and what have you been enjoying and really coming to know yourself here in the city?
So I love it here. Have in the process of relocating here with my wife. That'll happen over the next several months. But I've been spending increasingly more and more time here. It started first on the pursuit of this opportunity, so worked on it for over 2 years with Cody Martinez and the Sequan tribe, and Brad Termini, a local partner of ours. We've been working on this project, so I have incrementally got to know San Diego as I stepped into it and saw the market from afar and sort of had my own ideas of what San Diego is. And then as I've gotten down here, virtually every day I'm learning something different, about the layout, the people, the culture, the nuances, the uniqueness of this place, the specialness of this place. And, through our search for how can we best represent this place with the highest level of football in America, I've really fallen in love with San Diego.
So clearly, you were neighbors for a long time up in LA. What did that experience bring to you? Obviously, you were involved with sports. People who were in the know saw you on ESPN speaking about a different sport at time to time. What did those experiences what have they helped you build in order to be able to be the best version of Tom in order to lead the MLS into San Diego?
It's funny. A decade ago, I didn't know anything really meaningful about Southern California, period. Had never lived here. And I didn't know much about soccer, having never been in the sport. So how things have changed, where you just sort of introduced me as somebody that, brings credibility. And that's only because I was able to have this immersive, I thought once in a career opportunity to build a soccer club from nothing in America. And now to be able to do it twice is just kind of surreal. But I had a great experience in LA, relocating my family from Portland, Oregon, and from basically life in the NBA into a position in Major League Soccer in SoCal, right? Yeah. Going to LA. And so I went through a similar experience where I had to understand the city and learn the greater region and the market. And, that's such a behemoth. Yes. 13 million people when you talk about Orange County and LA County, and then learning the differences between LA County and Orange County. And interestingly, San Diego always did feel like a separate thing, but I didn't really fully appreciate how distinct this market is until I started coming down here. And Camp Pendleton is the big. Yeah. As soon as you drive through Camp Pendleton, right, you guys are smiling. We're like, it's just such a cool stretch and such a natural barrier that gives San Diego County true borders on all four sides. That the one blended border is to the south, right? Yes. Where it doesn't really end, it continues and it mixes. So anyway, back in LA, I had a similar experience of getting to know football, and now coming here, it's just it's similar but different.
Camp Pendleton, the one part of the road where you don't get service, so you know where you're at.
Yeah, that's where Mexican food stops.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, what would you say coming into the soccer world? What has been your favorite part of it compared to the basketball world? What have you loved about football so far?
Well, from the beginning, it was the global nature of it. Basketball, the NBA tries to act like they're global. We're global in that sport, but it's not anywhere near what this is. Every far reach of the globe understands football. You could go ask almost any citizen, Messi or Ronaldo, and they're going to have an opinion, right? Messi or Ronaldo. I'll take Messi. He's here.
Excellent.
He's one of us.
Yep.
But so the first appeal for me was just the expansive nature of it, and the fact that it was, in basketball or in every other American sport, the expression of the sport is top of the food chain, right? The best 400 basketball players are here. And I was intrigued by the momentum of MLS and the fact that it's not the elite of the elite, but it's on the way up, and it plays in this space that is sort of in the upper middle class of football, let's call it. And so as I got to learn the game, I, like others, just fell in love with it, with the rhythm of the sport, the romantic nature of things, I was like one of those dumb Americans before where I'd say, there isn't enough scoring in soccer. It's, we need more goals.
Yeah.
And then you come to appreciate the beauty of the goals. And I often say that each goal is the equivalent of like a game-winning buzzer beater in basketball. That's as exhilarating as that moment is, where we just won the game. Oh my God, what a shot! Each goal in its own right kind of feels like that, and causes you to literally jump for joy into the arms of the stranger next to you. That's pretty cool.
It's that ethos that just kind of is united throughout the sport, right? And that's something that can be traced all the way down to playing with all you need. We grew up playing literally with T-shirts wrapped together in between tires of cars. That's your goal, and that's all you need, really. And some of the best World Cup finals were played on cement floors and in apartment complexes everywhere. And it's that connectivity that really I do believe is different from any other sport. But what is the ethos going to be like for San Diego? What is that fabric that is going to be unique to the project that's coming in October 20th? We're going to have the colors, crest, name. That's going to be obviously a big leap into it, right? We have these generic MLS, scarves going around, but then we're going to have something to hold on to, as the fans would say, is we're going to have something to sink our teeth in and anchor ourselves with. How excited are you about that, and what is going to be different about San Diego MLS?
Well, I think it's going to come down to the fact that it's uniquely San Diego, right? We want to just be a reflection of the community. And, those who have listened have heard us say, when we talk about San Diego, those two words, we don't just mean the city center. We don't just mean the coast, which is what most people from around the world think of is the beach. From the very beginning, Cody Martinez says, hey, man, I grew up in East County. There's a ton of us in East County and South County, and we're all part of San Diego. We need to appeal to the entire county. So that's why we've talked about 18 cities, it's really more, 86 communities, whatever it is, in the 18 cities. We would like to be a football club that appeals to all of those geographic regions, each of the age brackets, generationally. There's nothing like going to sports with your grandparent or your parent or your kid. Across ethnicities, I mean, the ability to, where else can you truly get out of your own bubble of where you live and intermix with people that look different and behave different and have different stories, but the one tie that binds them together is their love for the club and their pride in what the club can do to represent their community on a global scale. Mm-hmm. So we talk about putting a club together that's going to give the opportunity for San Diego to shine to the world. And we mean that literally, because properly executed, when Messi comes and plays and we've got our star going against him, and for the future, same sorts of things, the entire world could be interested, and it gives us a chance to say what San Diego football culture is all about.
Does that make things easier having Messi come in, obviously captivating the league on the
What do you think?
I mean, no, but I mean, does it on a competitive basis, on a trying to build a brand? You have Miami, who was there. It's always been there. The colors are still the same, but now, obviously, with the caliber of Messi, it just rockets the brand of Messi, and then MLS as well, even. So, coming with something brand new, does that present itself as a challenge? Is that something that concerns you, or is that something that just has you just charged to go in and say, you know what, we have our thing, and our thing is going to be our thing, and we're going to go ahead and let that speak for itself?
Let what speak for itself?
Let the branding, let the product speak for itself in terms of what we have to build here.
Well, I mean, having Messi here is a huge boost on everything. Way more than I expected. So just the initial interest level, higher than expected, and we had high hopes. His initial performance, higher than expected. I mean, it's just must-see TV. Yeah. And it's really elevated the discussion around Major League Soccer. So it's helped all of us a ton. Traditionally, in recent times, some of the most interesting stories in MLS as it grows is the story of expansion. So when LAFC came in, it sort of was a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. Seeing how the 32-52 just sort of reimagined the way a modern-day sports or modern-day supporters group would behave, day one. Everybody was like, oh, my God, how did that happen? Then you look at Austin and what they're doing there, and you look at St. Louis this year.
St. Louis is insane, yeah.
So in each of these cases, the newest club captures the momentum of the moment, meaning the momentum of this last decade, let's say, and has a chance to do something their way. So we're in that jet stream where we get the chance in San Diego to do it our way. And the fun thing is we don't know what that's going to be yet. And this is where what's so interesting about this project is the involvement of our ownership. Mm-hmm. So you've got Saquon as the first Native American tribe at the table in one of the big 5 sports leagues, and Cody Martinez sitting as the alternate governor of our club and having a say and having a voice. And if that's not cool enough,
yeah,
partner them with Mr. Mansour and the Right to Dream operation. And we have a unique approach to how we want to build this team and what we want to represent with this club that is rooted in the Right to Dream brilliance that's 25 years old now, when it was founded in Ghana by the great Tom Vernon, and how it's grown and evolved to one of the best teams in all of Scandinavia in Denmark with FC Nordsjælland. Expansion into Egypt, and a first-class academy being dedicated next month in Egypt, followed by our groundbreaking of our brand new version of it in North America in November. So, I mean, you put all those things together, we're a member of a community of academies and clubs that are built on giving opportunity to the talent that nobody else can see or find. And that's cool.
You mentioned earlier that the MLS is not at the elite, right? It's like upper class in the world scene. Is the hope for this team to elevate the league into the elite?
Well, we as one club can't do that alone. The overall trajectory of the MLS is unquestionably on the rise in the quality of play, the quality of talent, the attractiveness to elite players, like the best player in the world who's here, and so many other players that have come at or in their prime. Carlos Vela was in his prime in his late 20s and chose to come to LAFC and became the leading goal scorer and assist man and MVP and Golden Boot and everything else. So there are plenty of other examples like that. And then unquestionably, we're on an upward trajectory in our level of play, and the sky's the limit. That's what's so cool is most of the global football world views America as the best at pro sports and the largest market, the richest country, the people that get sports the best, right? We do. And so everyone has always thought it's only a matter of time. And without a doubt, in the last 5 years or so, we've shifted into a different gear as a league. And now you put the booster of Messi and the double booster of the World Cup right after it. And it's very exciting to think, what's this landscape going to look like in 2027, right? So it's cool. We come in 2024. No, 2025.
Yeah.
So
all
Messi's
right,
here in
All right.
sorry.
A few months.
Messi's here in all of 2024. We come in 2025, then the World Cup booster in 2026. It's just a really cool step sequence of things that are going to be really impactful.
And that World Cup booster you speak of, right? Like back in the 90s, now you're seeing the product of that boost in the on-field play for the United States, where if you really want to track back, the World Cup gave that boost to the sport in soccer. And I think this is the next boom that's coming up here with 2026.
Well, the only reason the MLS exists is because
Absolutely.
FIFA required the powers that be in America to say, if you want the World Cup, you got to start a new professional league. And from that came MLS. So, yeah.
And it's relatively young. Like some listeners are twice as old as the league itself in a way. But it's a very lofty, ambitious, task that you have set yourself forth of. We're going to start with this Right to Dream Academy, which is a fantastic ideal, and it happens in Mexico as well. There's academies that players go and move from all over the country and live in this Pachuca place in León, and then they grow up as men and women there as well. What does a short-term goal look like? Because on the outside, sometimes when these types of projects come in, on a soccer scale, it's, well, we're going to have to be patient. It's more of a long-term goal where we're going to build this. But what are the short-term goals, and what are the markers of success on that short term with the Right to Dream?
With Right to Dream or with the first team?
With the Right to Dream into the first team, yes. So based on the academy players with Right to Dream.
Yeah, so one differentiator about Right to Dream, and you mentioned other academy systems, but none do what Right to Dream does, which is find a young boy or girl, and in Ghana it's at age 10, and in Egypt it's age 10, and in America and here in Mexico we're going to do it at age 12, and find the very best of the best, and then give them a full commitment regardless of how they develop, so that those other academies typically will look for the best players and bring them in residential, but as soon as they're not good enough, they're discarded. And they get replaced because it's all about professional player development. In Right to Dream, the commitment to the child and to the family is you're taken care of either way, either on a football pathway, if you're talented enough and ambitious enough, you want to go directly into a professional career, or you have the chance at an educational pathway. So last semester, there were 150 boys and girls from Ghana on full scholarships in America at prep school and college, and like the best colleges out there. So it's a truly one-of-a-kind, remarkable commitment to the development of young people. The curriculum is not just football, it's a great education combined with character development as well. So when you meet any of these Right to Dream graduates at age 18, you're just sort of blown away by, holy moly, that's an incredible young man or woman. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do that right here in San Diego. We're going to do it in our community. We have the ability to be cross-border and attract talent.
So unique.
Nobody has that. Attract the best of the best from Mexico, blend with the best of the best from our region, and make that same commitment. So for the long term, we're going to develop talented human beings and give them a platform to flourish. And in so doing, if you think out long term, you're going to have primarily a club with young, homegrown talent that everybody's proud of, knows who they are, knows where they came from, and then intermixed with some of the other best of the best from the other academies. So you could envision a day where you've got the best 2 from Ghana with the best 2 from Egypt, with the best 2 from Scandinavia, with the best 2 from North America, and that's your core 8 that come in. I'm, chunking it out.
Yeah.
In the short term, we need to plant those seeds and fertilize and grow and nurture and everything we've talked about. In the short term, we're going to need to put a competitive team on the pitch immediately. It's not like we will come in with a bunch of 18-year-olds and say, we're all here and we're going to play young and win. We're going to blend the best young talent and have a commitment to playing young talent with the appropriate amount of veteran leadership as we stand up the team and stand the club on its feet to be competitive and give San Diego something they can be proud of. It is a long-term project, but we don't see it as a long-term wait for competitiveness. We aspire to be competitive immediately. And, it's complex because of the nature of, the limited number of foreign slots you can have on a roster, the need to blend in other existing MLS players. And we have a very distinct style of play in Right to Dream that we will implement here because all of the kids at all 4 of those academies are trained to play a certain way so that when they get meshed together, they really mesh together because they're used to it. So we're going to implement that style of play right away, and it's fun. If you watch FC Nordsjælland play, they're fun to watch, man. They're on the front foot, they're attacking, they're high pressing. That ball is banging around, way more efficiently than what you normally would see.
So that's something that maybe fans can expect of this team, high pressing, attacking team.
Just go watch some Right to Dream teams. Like if you want to do scouting, honestly, there's time, right? Like you can go and see what some of these players that may be in your backyard are going to be like, some of the stars that are over there. I mean, we've even seen partnerships here with the USL teams. Milano Losky, like that's somebody who's really up and coming, and he's one of those players where wherever he's going to land, he's going to have that DNA of where he's learned. And much like the academy system is going to implant a certain DNA across, this can be revolutionary for the game itself. If this becomes a successful model, I can very well see other MLS teams, up and coming franchises, however that might be, wanting to copy that model and say this is successful, because at the end of the day, it's cost efficient as well.
And that's something I think from what we've heard from the community is they want homegrown players, right? They've thrown out the names like Brandon Vasquez. They've thrown out names like Paul Arriola coming in, veteran players. But
I retired yesterday from soccer, by the way.
Sorry,
Professional soccer.
He's off the market.
Sorry.
You're no longer available.
Yeah,
He's not available.
It's
Breaking my heart.
You see, you would have gotten a contract right
Maybe.
now. Dude,
A
this
one-day
guy,
contract?
I told him,
No,
don't do
it's
it.
over. You're still available.
You mentioned before how the San Diego community knows how good they have it and that they're grateful to be here. With that being said, how do you ensure you're going to give the community something to be grateful for other than the product on the field, like community work, anything like that?
Yeah, well, that's a huge part of it. I mean, we look to do 3 things. We're going to provide an impassioned match day experience. That's what we've talked about internally. Is we want people to the entire match day just live that experience and love it, win, lose, or draw. Now you got to win to really make everybody happy.
Correct.
But we want to replicate what's happened in Portland, what's happened at LAFC, what you see in Austin or St. Louis. When you go to any of those places, you just are so excited about the overall experience because the supporters are roaring and because the team is playing a pleasing way, and it's just a great event, and that's going to happen. The second thing we want to do is cultivate all kinds of opportunities for talent to flourish at our club. So that's player talent, that's coaching talent, that's media talent like you guys, that's supporter talent. Anybody who wants to be a member of this club, whatever their talent is, we want to create a platform for them to flourish. And then the third thing is we want to have a deep impact in the community. That's one of our pillars. So it's those three pillars. That's what we do and what we're going to do. So the first aspect of that is just understanding the community and what are the needs in the community. The second aspect is taking what our secret sauce is and spreading the love, so to speak. So our secret sauce is going to be everything around elite and appropriate development of human beings through the sport of football. So that can be with our academy, which is the elite of the elite, but can we help coach the coaches and work with the other programs? Because there's so much talent in this market. Yeah. We want to have an impact beyond just the elite of the elite. And then finally, just the platform that we have as a really relevant sports organization in this community. It's really the Padres and us as the major league teams. You've got the Wave as well, who are right there having their impact. Properly executed, we should have a rich and deep impact across the entire region, both in awareness and interest and state of passion around it, but also our ability to invest in the community and impact lives in a meaningful way.
You mentioned obviously having talented people on board. Ricardo Campos joining the MLS team, joining as executive vice president of Ricardo Operations. That's what I told him. Like, you're going to do what you're going to do. But some people might, from the outside, may see it as, well, is this a pat on the back for San Diego Loyal? But obviously, he himself had to earn it. How does your vision align with his in trying to roll out the product that's going to be coming in 2025 on and off the field? And what did he do in the community for you to say, like, yes, this is something that we need on our side?
Well, Ricardo is one of 5 senior executive leaders that are going to play an important role in the leadership of our club, along with when we're at our maturity, 197 people is we're going to have in our hiring plan. So Jen Bauer is the leader of our commercial operation, and she's a rock star in town. Went to San Diego State as an athlete, has worked her entire professional career in San Diego, knows the market inside and out, highly respected, highly regarded. I could go through each other leader in our business and make similar stories. So Ricardo is also one who has a rich history in the sport. He's served in various roles. He was on the sporting side with the New York Red Bulls. He came to town here and was obviously an important part of the Loyal organization. I got to know him vis-a-vis those discussions and along the way in the process, and then felt like he's very talented and his heart's in the right place, and he's, again, local and has good knowledge of the market. So for me, if I'm trying to hire a number of folks that are going to be co-leaders of the business, you look at the individual and you look at how we work together as a team and what our culture is going to be like. And he checked a lot of boxes that we needed and is a really good guy.
And, we mentioned Loyal. Obviously, they were here, and this being their final season. What are your thoughts now with that announcement and their contributions to being able to be hosts to show that this is possible? Professional soccer in San Diego is something, helped usher in Wave as well. But overall, what was the benefit that you saw from these last 4 years of there being a USL championship team in San Diego?
Well, I'd say with the Wave and the Loyal both, and even with Man United coming to town, I mean, with Snapdragon now here, there's a forum for the best expressions of the sport to take place. The U.S. women's national team is coming. So every time something happens in this community, the whole soccer community shows up. And it's like the rest of the world's like, oh, yeah, there is a soccer culture down there.
Every Mexico game, we've lived it at Qualcomm Stadium. You should have seen it. Oh, man.
So Qualcomm was good for that. but not for anything else. Because, you know, the Wave could have put 25,000 people in Qualcomm, or the Loyal might have put 20,000 in Qualcomm, and you go like, man, there's nobody here. Because those buildings are just, when it's
Cavernous.
when it's that big, it doesn't work. So Snapdragon's right size, right time. You know, the Loyal I admired from afar, and then a lot more once I got to know them, just the kind of impact they were having. And, you know, the hand they were dealt was nearly impossible with you. You start, and then COVID happens, and, you know, there was so much promise, and they had to, you know, it was one thing for a mature team to try to operate through that. For a brand new organization, it's like nearly impossible. And then the venue restrictions they had and the difficulties there, it's just not ideal for really growing and evolving. And I think right at the point when they were maybe going to be able to find their way into some other options, we came along. So super sensitive to that. It was tough timing for them. Very much admire the way they operated, the impact they've had. I really enjoyed getting to know a number of the key supporter leaders, and a lot of the overall fans. You know, at our initial events, until our colors are represented, the most dominant color you'll see is Loyal gear, right? And I respect that, and I hope everybody really shows up for the grand finales here and celebrates what's happened. You know, Andrew said it best. He wants it to be a celebration of the time they've had, and you know, I think if things had fallen a different way, they could very well be the club that was going up to MLS. But you know, this is how it shook out.
I mean, you mentioned it's Snapdragon, right? Like stadiums here in San Diego are a bit of a touchy subject.
Very, very
There is
touchy,
a museum of rendering somewhere in downtown, probably. But you know, there's been a bit of a departure of saying that it's a soccer-specific stadium. Would you still kind of agree with that, go along with that, or, I mean, it's almost like a multi-purpose venue at this point. I'll let you know how Coldplay was tomorrow, and you know, in a concert setting. I miss Jimmy Buffett, unfortunately, but it's one of those things where there seems to be a need, if there is a need for maybe something to grow with something that's only soccer in that house. Would that be something that long-term you'd be open to, would be interested in for this team?
What's long-term mean?
I mean, if an opportunity arises, say in 10 years to have that spot where the power plant was that blew up a couple years ago, that was supposed to be the Chargers on J Street in the marina, if that becomes available at any point or any other land, is that an opportunity that then gets seized? Is that, you know, how is that?
Well, first of all, I call Snapdragon a soccer-specific stadium because it basically is.
Okay.
I mean, they built the building for soccer. They put safe standing in the north end.
Correct.
Okay, that's soccer-specific. Most venues in America have not had safe standing. They've had to retrofit for that. I think LAFC, we might have been one of the first from the ground up to build it that way. In addition to that, you know, the architects designed it for that purpose. It's the same architect that did the LAFC stadium, that did Austin, Gensler. They know what they're doing, and they put in all the concepts that are appropriate for a modern-day American soccer-specific stadium. It's also multi-use.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'm going to Coldplay Thursday, so let me know how it
There we
goes.
go. Yeah, let you know.
And so we're looking forward to seeing it as a concert venue. You know, I do worry about the pitch conditions, and all the, you know, true soccer heads are going to be really worried about how that pitch works. And trust me, nobody cares more than us with our style of play and how fast we're going to want to play. You got to have that ball roll clean. We'll deal with that, you know, in 2025. But, you know, the idea of building a brand new stadium, there's a reason there's a, what'd you call it, a museum to the
museum of
renderings?
renderings, yeah.
Yeah, it's nearly impossible. I mean, look how long it took David Beckham to try to do something in Miami. As powerful and important as he is, it took over a decade. New York City, they're still not done with theirs.
Stadium, man.
It's just so it's not a San Diego thing. It's just nearly impossible to build these projects. San Diego State did it. I mean, they did exactly what billionaire developers are trying to do, which is get a hold of 166 acres, convince the powers that be that there can be a mixed-use development there that's got a park and it's got this awesome stadium, and then it's going to have an innovation district and 15,000 people living there and 4,000 plus units. That is hard to do, and God bless them, they did it. And they were wise enough to say, we know Soccer City was up against us. We're going to build this for soccer, and we're going to get an MLS team here. And guess what? They were right. So we have no designs on building our own building, primarily because it's so difficult. And that's why I said how long.
Yeah.
Because if you say 10 years, I got to start on that tomorrow with all the approvals and all the stuff.
EPAs, yes.
I mean, you literally have to, and if you're talking about near the coast, then this coastal commission is involved. And that's like a nightmare in development. You know, they're really difficult to do anything, let alone a stadium. So, you know, if you said the horizon 20 or 30 years, then I'd say, yeah, maybe, because we could start on it in about 10. You know, I mean, and I say that even jokingly. It's just a very challenging thing to do for a reason. And so kudos to San Diego State for building Snapdragon. It's awesome. We're thrilled to be in it, and we can't wait to just bring it alive with sold-out crowds every night we play.
And then you mentioned also San Diego Wave, right? You're going to be roommates with them. Casey Stoney has expressed in the press conference that she doesn't want to play second fiddle, right? She wants to know what the schedules are going to be, how her team's going to benefit from all this too. What does the ideal collaboration look like between MLS San Diego and San Diego Wave?
Yeah, so San Diego State is the landlord, and they're also the first tenant, if you will. Their football team gets the first priority for their 6 or 7 dates per year when their football team plays. So anytime you have a multi-use facility, each tenant has a lease that sort of sets out what the priorities are. And the next priority tenant to pick dates is us. So we negotiated for and we received from the university in exchange for what, you know, we're leasing the building for, the right to be, after San Diego State, the next priority in dates. The Wave are also a priority tenant. And the beauty of this is we only play 2.5 times a month, right?
Yeah.
You know, we only play once a week or once and a half, you know, when it gets busy. And we play Wednesdays and Saturdays, or it's almost always Saturday nights and then some Wednesday nights. So there's plenty of space in the calendar for each of us to have our own space. You know, where it gets more challenging is certain times of the year when we're all playing together and when Coldplay comes to town.
Yeah.
Right? So right now they were able to block off 2-3 weeks to just crush that field with all, you know, they got it all in at once, and they're going to do multiple concerts back to back, and then they're going to resod. But yeah, nobody wants to play second fiddle. I think we're going to be able to collaborate and work together. The other thing we've talked about is the idea of, when I say we, you know, we talked to the university about the idea of soccer weekends, right? So the tough double headers are when you play football on Saturday, American football, and soccer on Sunday, and it just, the lines look terrible. You know, the field isn't in good shape. That's when it's hard.
Ricardo's known to going before the game and painting lines at USD. So there you go. Maybe another use for Mr. Ricardo on there. Job description.
Multi-talented.
That wasn't on the resume. Huh?
No, but it's a really ideal venue for what you mentioned, the ideal American soccer venue, and that's what it seems like right now. So
It's going to be the largest in America, the largest soccer-specific venue. So, I mean, the NFL venues are clearly NFL venues that are translated, and like even as great as Atlanta is, it's indoor, it's on artificial turf, and you can't see the corner kicks, you know, with the TV angles because it's built for a different sport. But it's awesome. It's amazing. You know, the place is packed. They're one of the, ideal franchises, not franchises, clubs in North American football. This venue is the largest soccer-specific venue, bigger than Nashville. And, we're looking forward to packing it.
And just to kind of start closing it out here, I just want to ask, it's a Herculean effort to put a professional sports team together. It takes a team, it takes an effort, a large amount of capital, a large amount of everything. For where the MLS team, San Diego FC is right now, what are some of the challenges that are still presenting themselves? What are some of the challenges that you foresee kind of going away after the 20th? And what are some challenges that, you've already conquered and are in the rearview mirror?
Yeah. The first challenges are getting your places set. Well, first I'd say is core people, right? So get your core people, then get your places, then get your processes. We've done a lot with our core people, as we talked about earlier, and we're up to 32 employees right now, which is cool. So we're building. The places, securing a long-term lease at the facility we're talking about at Snapdragon is a huge win. It was critical to us even making the investment. The next is the home for our performance center and our youth academy, our Right to Dream Academy. I mean, that's
Huge.
hard to find. HTF, right? It is hard to find. And we found it. And so you'll see news this weekend that's going to break, and we're going to tell the story of where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing. And then we'll have our dedication, and that is a huge flag in the ground and a huge moment that makes it more real, plus the announcement of our crest and our colors and our identity, our real brand identity. What's left to do now is to onboard the right partners in all ways. So the first way you think about that is the corporate partners, because it's such a key component of our business model is you need to have business.
Yeah, 100%.
And so who can we get for the front of the kit to join us as a partner? And who can we get as our naming rights partner at that gorgeous facility we're going to announce? And who can join us on the sleeve? And who can be our core partners, right? So that's one element of we're really engaged with the corporate community now. And what you see is these incredibly important companies coming forward and saying, we see what this is going to be, and we want to have that deep impact on the community. It's not just putting a logo out there. They want to also share in that vision of impacting the community in a meaningful way. The other partners we're after is how many folks want to join us as members of the club? How many want to be season ticket holders, want to sign up to be there for every match, to wear those colors, to share in that joy, right? That process begins next month. We've already got just thousands and thousands of people that have come forward as deposit holders or made the deposit to become season ticket holders. And then that special partnership is maybe the most unknown, and that's with the supporters. What can our north end of Snapdragon look like and feel like and sound like? And that's where I've seen you guys at these monthly supporter rallies and at the embers are burning, another log gets thrown on that fire that, it's as this all starts to bubble its way up. And we've got Jerry now leading the effort in that regard, and he's so talented and has such good tone on supporter culture and on San Diego. And so that's the unknown, is just how is that group going to come to coalesce? And what are they going to call themselves? And how many different groups are going to join a union? And are we going to really be able to establish something that's united, all of San Diego? And can it be cross-cultural? And can it be open? And if you want in, you're in. And we're going to behave the right way. And we're going to do our own good in the community and all that really cool stuff that supporter groups do, that's really just an amplifier of talk about San Diego shining, talk about deep impact in community. Those well-organized supporter groups do that. And then if it scales up, it's big time impact. So that's the work left. I wouldn't say the work left to do. That's the exciting unknown of the project, is exactly how's all that going to come together, and just what is it going to mean?
Unifying all the communities would definitely be a huge accomplishment. Would you say capturing the Latino community be a challenge? The two other teams that are here in Loyo and Wave have kind of struggled in getting the Latino community involved in their teams. Is there a plan for that? Do you think that would be a challenge for the team as well?
That's interesting. I got that same question a lot in Los Angeles, where people said, are you trying to appeal directly to the Latino community? Are you trying to appeal to the Mexican audience? You get that question a lot. That community is the San Diego community. We are trying to appeal to all of the San Diego community. And by definition, when you look at the demographics, that's over 55%, I think, of the greater audience. So it's not a subset of folks we're looking to appeal to. It's a majority of the citizens in this county and in this region. So I've always thought, what I learned in Los Angeles is we just wanted to be an authentic expression of our version of the sport for greater Los Angeles, and you see who comes to join. And it ended up being a really nice cross-section of Los Angeles that ended up being half Latino, right? And that's the way it is for the Dodgers up there.
Yeah.
I think if you went to look at the Padres audience, you'd likely see that it mirrors the broader region, demographically and whatever else. Is that right?
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that. Yeah.
So our sort of, and I remembered seeing the Dodgers audience and thinking that represented greater Los Angeles, and thought, could we end up in the same place? And we did. It wasn't like it was the goal, but it was a curiosity. And at LAFC, we ended up really, when you look across each audience, you saw the same real similarities in how they were represented. So a goal, an idea here would be to be similar to the Padres in that regard, where they just appeal to the entire region, and by definition, there's a big percentage of Latinos that identify with this and want to be a part of it. So that'd be, if we're going to be the club for greater San Diego, that'll be a natural outcome.
How do you win a fan over that's not a fan of the MLS, right? There's a lot of people out there that are just very much into European soccer, Liga MX, are very against MLS. How do you win those fans over?
I think you have to get them to come experience it, our version of it. Those folks aren't going to come based on me saying, hey, it's going to be great. It just doesn't work that way. I come from what I like to call the enlightened American fan. I wasn't into soccer at all. Yeah. I was with living in Portland, Trailblazers employee. I got invited to a Timbers match. I went with my kids, and I couldn't freaking believe it.
Yeah. That's how it starts.
My kids looked up at me. They're like, Daddy, this is awesome. And I was like mesmerized by the Timbers Army. I was like, this is awesome. We do this here. So that's some of the folks that just haven't experienced football before and will be blown away if we get that when we get the North End really together doing what they're going to do. The other subset you mentioned are sort of what I'll call soccer snobs that continue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
100%,
the right term.
100%.
Yeah.
That look down their nose and say, okay, it's not, well, guess what? Messi's here, right? So some of that's starting to crack. But there's still a little bit of maybe cross-border belief that that product is superior. I mean, Leagues Cup just showed how competitive we are, and maybe MLS, some would say has surpassed. And then on the global,
Controversial, but yes.
yeah, with
It's there.
with controversy, but everybody acknowledges that gap
It's on the
once
rise, yeah.
there is narrowed.
Yeah. The U.S. surpassed Mexico, too.
And my answer for the soccer snobs is the same thing, man. Just come check it out. When you see it in person, if you don't have fun at that, then you're not a football fan, because it's super fun.
No, yeah, and that's something that, again, there's still time. Like that's something that we think about, like, well, it's going to come next year. No, there's still a little bit of cushion there where there's still some learning and listening to do, I imagine, from the MLS San Diego side. And again, just want to go ahead, once again, thank you for your time. We're going to go ahead and just close this out right now. And what's one last thing that, to be honest, is the most satisfying thing personally for you in building this here in San Diego?
I sort of thought and believed that this community really needed and wanted another major league team. But what's been so gratifying right now is to feel it. You know, every time we do one of these supporter rallies or we're out in a different pocket of the community, you can just feel from that community how much they long for this and want this. And so it's really, really gratifying to be able to be a small part of a lot of people working together, tremendous investors and partners, Mr. Mansour, Right to Dream, Sequan Tribe, coming together to do this for this community, and knowing that the community is going to have something that brings them together and makes them feel joy and gives the city a chance to shine. That just excites the hell out of me.
Well, San Diego's welcomed you, I hope, in a great way, and hopefully you enjoy your time here and enjoy building, hopefully what's going to be here to represent this city for a long time. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.